Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst here to do my recap video for UFC 111, St. Pierre versus Hardy. Let me adjust my seat here. Let's get right down to it. George St. Pierre went out there, did his thing, but let's all talk about what his thing is. His thing is neutralizing his opponents, taking them away from their strong points. What's Dan Hardy's strong point? His stand-up game. So what did he do? He absolutely negated Dan Hardy's stand-up game. But is that what we all knew was going to happen? Yes. Is that why so many people thought that this fight was a little too early for Dan Hardy's current skill level? Yes. Is that why when this fight was first proposed to the fans before the primetime hype fest, everybody thought Dan Hardy stood zero chance? Yes. Is that why we saw exactly what we thought was going to happen? As a whole, yes. Was anybody impressed with what we saw? Yes. I was very much impressed with Dan Hardy's ability to get out of bad situations. I was completely expecting his inability to stay out of bad situations, but didn't think that once he got into deep water, as deep as the water gets, that he would actually come out on the other side multiple times. And until we find out about those medical suspensions, potentially even a little bit dry. What about GSP? Now, I know there's a lot of GSP fans out there. I'm one of them. But I need y'all guys to calm down because I'm about to say something that you need to realize. GSP wasn't happy with his performance for a reason. He's happy with the win, and all the fans out there should be too. If you were cheering for George St. Pierre, cheer, cheer, cheer. I was rooting for him. I picked him. And I'm happy that he got the win. But was he happy with his performance? Did he give a performance that is any different than the performances of John Fitch, who gets booed like hell? Nope. Did he do anything different than old Sean Shirk, who used to go out there, take people to the ground, grind out decisions? Nope. Did he do anything different than Matt Lindland, who's no longer in the UFC? Many think because of the fact that all he used to do is neutralize his opponents and get wins? Nope. Should we all be happy as GSP fans that he did what he did and what he does so well? Absolutely. But should we be happy with how he did it? And is that what we're looking for? That's up for you to decide. I personally do like when people have game plans where they listen to their coaches. Greg Jackson was in his corner telling them what to do, telling them how to do it. George St. Pierre went out there and tried to do it, tried to finish the fights multiple times. He could have done, and here's the big difference between him and Fitch. Fitch never goes for it. He goes for position over submission. George St. Pierre multiple times went for submissions that if, things went wrong, he would lose the position. And then he got the position back almost instantly, but he went for it. So that much should be, deciphered between the two. Also, he does have a stand-up game whenever he decides to use it. But in the end, that fight is not going to, these fair weather fans that Fitch was talking about, that fight's not going to be for them. That fight's not going to be for a lot of guys who want to see a good fight. And what they consider to be a good fight, what I consider to be a good fight is a competitive match between two highly skill-level fighters. George St. Pierre was on another level. This fight was too early. We would have known this if Dan Hardy went out and fought a wrestler before he got a chance to fight the best wrestler in his division. If he would have fought Josh Koscheck, we would have seen what would have happened, potentially, as long as Josh Koscheck went to do a game plan instead of trying to go get a knockout. we would have seen that his takedown defense was non-existent, completely obsolete. But, you know, he went out there, he beat a striker, you know, in Swick, and he got his title shot. He beat 3 other guys. He did an awesome job. He got out of so many bad positions. He was able to re-guard so many times. He was able to do a lot of things that, you know, we didn't think he'd be able to do. And he was able to do a lot of stuff we saw in the Showtime, the prime time. Getting out of that armbar, standing to the feet, rolling to the belly, standing up. We saw it all. But we really didn't see a lot of the stuff in the takedowns, the relentless takedowns that GSP was going to bring. All I'm saying, y'all, is I believe GSP should continue to win and do what is necessary to win. But I don't really like how he waits till the end of the round to go for a leg lock. Or he waits for the end of the round to really put the flurry on. If he can take this guy down at will like he does, and I know it's the corners and they have a great game plan, and that's the reason he is as good as he is and he listens to them. But I think that he can, if he wants to, in certain situations, turn it up higher. It's kind of like Lyoto Machida in situations in the past where he went to a decision with the guy that he should have been able to whoop on real hard. He did whoop on Hardy, but, you know, hardly. You know what I mean? A lot of submission attempts, a lot of Kimura attempts. Dan Hardy leaving that arm out there like a white belt. Unable to, you know, even slightly defend getting the hooks and taking, you know, getting his back taken. Able to get out of the armbar. Able to get out of the Kimura. I don't know if unscathed. Able to, you know, shake GSP off when he got the back. Able to reverse a lot of those situations momentarily. But very, very, very low level of actually defending getting into those positions. And maybe that's because GSP is just so good at getting those positions. But I don't know. Taking the back is taking the back. And there's just a few things you do. When you're laying on your back and somebody's in side control, there's just a few things you do. Just lift the knee. Try and get your knee, touch your elbow. Just try and do something. Don't make it, you know, free reign. Look, here's my knee on belly. Take it. But the fight's over. GSP another win. Dan Hardy probably gained more fans from this fight than he lost. That's for sure. And nobody's really mad at him for what happened. That's Dan Hardy. GSP, he's going to have his hardcore fans that are always going to be there for him. But he's not gaining new fans. And how important are new fans? They're important for the growth of the sport and for the popularity of somebody. But these new fans won't really be there. You know, these are the guys where you lose a fight and, you know, they only know 5 names of fighters or anything. I'm starting to ramble, but you all understand what I'm saying. Basically, I want to see GSP turn it up. If he's that good, which he is, I want to see him turn it up. Frank Mir versus Shane Carwin. Good Lord. Good Lord. How many fights have you seen somebody in the dirty boxing, like, you know, that dirty boxing up against the cage, you got the one arm, and you just don't... He had, oh my gosh, so much power. A lot of people, you know, they thought I was maybe picking, you know, Shane Carwin because I don't like Frank Mir. I got no problem with Mir. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Mir's, but I recognize his skill and ability. But I also recognize the sheer wrecking ball that Shane Carwin is. And that's what he did. He went out there. He got in a position that in the end of the fight, like, that's how he just decided to throw. And a left hand, uppercuts, short, in a position that so many people fight in. And so little fights are ended because of it. He basically did a stand-up against the cage version of what Brock Lesnar took 2 minutes against the floor to do. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. The hype job, though, once again, was deep in the thing, talking about Shane Carwin 6'5" and stuff. If Shane Carwin's 6'5", Brock Lesnar's 6'8". You know what I mean? He's just not that big. He's big, but he's not Lesnar big, and they're trying to sell that. Kurt Pellegrino versus Fabricio Camoes. Oh, yeah, by the way, what happens next? Dan Hardy, you know, let's see what happens with that medical suspension, see what they say about that arm. Let's let him rest for about 5 months. Bring him back, and let's give him a nice fight. Don't give him somebody too crazy now. Just kind of chill back. Let him maybe get a good win. Shane Carwin, we know what's happening. Brock Lesnar, but that's a different story. Frank Mir, you know what I mean? Hopefully he gets some humility. Hopefully he gets humbled a little bit. Good Lord, this guy talks and talks. Just good Lord. Who's he going to fight next? I don't know. He's never fought Randy yet. Isn't Randy 205 now? I don't know, man. Oh, yeah, Randy's fighting Franklin. Kurt Pellegrino versus Fabricio Camoes. Awesome fight. I thought this should be fight of the night. They showed at the end, that last fight, Hammond versus Wallace. Maybe they're going to give that fight of the night because it was like brawlish and won all 3 rounds. I think this fight should have got fight of the night. Awesome ground game. Kurt Pellegrino did his damn thing over a very game Fabricio Marengo Camoes. Awesome fight. I love this fight. This is my favorite fight of the night other than Shane Carwin's massacre. Kurt Pellegrino, we know who he is. He's good on the ground. He's resilient. He was in a tough position with that rear naked choke where he just said, you know what, man, and slammed out of it. And it was all the slam. It was the slam right on the head. And Camoes was kind of definitely, we asked him, talk to him later, say, how busted were you up after your head hit that mat? He'll tell you the truth. John Fitch did what he does. John Fitch went out there and won the fight. That's what he does. He takes a position and he holds it and he beats you, gets the win, goes home, comes back, does it again unless you're GSP. Simple as that. What do you want me to say? As for Ben Saunders, do I think Ben Saunders called up the UFC and said, hey, give me John Fitch? I don't think so. I think the UFC said, Ben Saunders, what do you think, man? We got some, you want to fight the best. Here's your chance. We're going to give you that under the table bonus. You know what I mean? We're going to be indebted to you. That's a good place to be as a fighter. The UFC feeling like we owe you something. He helped the UFC out big time with this. But I don't think he said, I don't want to fight Jake Ellenberger and get my guaranteed win money because I think he was going to win that fight. I want to fight John Fitch instead and go get laid on and just abused for 15 minutes. I don't think he said that. If he did, mad props to Ben Saunders. Mad props. That's what a fighter's all about anyways. I'm just saying the odds are the UFC approached him. And he accepted, which is still all good. But that's a tough fight for anybody. Anybody. And Ben Saunders did his best. John Fitch does what he does. What else do you expect from him? We also saw Mark Bocek against Jim Miller. Mark Bocek really did his thing, man. Like, I didn't know it was going to be this close. I didn't think it was going to be that tight a fight. I thought, Miller was going to be able to just control on the top more. And, mad props to Mark Bocek. We know he's good in jiu-jitsu. But, it was a really good fight. Miller had, Bocek had a beautiful second round. But it just wasn't enough. But it was a great fight for both of these guys. None of them, they're not going anywhere. Nate Diaz versus Rory Markham. Damn, I feel like a dumb ass. You know what I mean? What am I doing, man? I actually picked Rory Markham in this one. Nate Diaz looked great. He looked awesome. By the way, I went 8-2. I went 8-2 on this one. I mean, that's a good number, but I feel kind of stupid about this one here and the next one. Nate Diaz, awesome job. Went out there, did what he's wanted to do, which is dominate somebody. And, even against Rory Markham, who came in 6 pounds overweight, and Diaz came in at 171. But, hey, good fight. Good job, Diaz. We'll see who you fight next. I'll be watching. Almeida went out and raped Matt Brown. First round was just Almeida controlling against the cage. Not a good round, but he was basically very clear what he wanted to do. Second round, he said, all right, we're going to try this again, and he did it. I feel stupid about those two, for real. The Nate Diaz and the Ricardo Almeida. I feel kind of retarded about those two picks. But it is what it is. And I've never even said that before. Out of all the videos I've been doing, I never said I feel stupid about a pick. But hey, it's all good. Good fight for Almeida. I don't know how many fans he got. He had a nice rear naked... he had a nice body triangle there. Rear naked choke. Nice. And Diaz had a nice win as well. Both those guys, they'll be back. I don't know what's gonna happen with Rory Markham. Matt Brown will be back. Rousimar Palhares, wow. This guy's grimy. Y'all don't know, man, about these leg locks. If you don't know, you know now. If you did know, you were waiting for it. He's nasty. Simple as that. Normally, you can slip. Normally in the UFC, you can slip and still walk away. You can still get up, but not against Rousimar Palhares. If you slip, you don't walk away. You cry on the mat for 5 minutes and then you limp out. Just nasty. Wait till the medical suspensions come back. Wait and see. Rodney Wallace, just big dude, man. Just a big dude with some heart. But way too much thickness to be out there. Way too much thickness. That's just out of control. Jared Hammond just did his thing. Weathered the storm and pulled out a nice win. And then the only fight we didn't see, Matt Riddle versus Greg Soto. Matt Riddle got the, I guess he won the first round, won the second round, and then in the third round got upkicked, forgot what even happened, and they were like, yo, we calling this fight. Anyways, as a whole, pretty good card. I mean, if you really want to look down at Rousimar Palhares, we got to see that. Awesome ankle lock. I mean, heel hook. Ricardo Almeida, not the greatest of fights, but a nice submission ending. Nate Diaz with the domination. Can't hate on that. Jim Miller versus Bocek. That's a very good fight. John Fitch versus Saunders. That's what you should have expected. John Fitch with the win. Kurt Pellegrino over Camoes. That was an awesome fight as well. Frank Mir loses to Shane Carwin. Carwin showing power like very few have ever shown in the UFC or MMA in general. And then Georges St-Pierre doing what we all thought he would do, but maybe wishing he would just do a little bit more. Just like he was wishing he'd do a little bit more. Stay tuned. You know, there's more MMA right around the corner. Next Monday, tough 8 or tough 80 starts. It's really tough 11, I think. More importantly, some more free MMA. Takanori Gomi in the UFC. I gotta do that damn video. Man, these videos are getting out of control. But you know why I do it, y'all. MMA, it's important. Peace.